Okay, good afternoon and welcome to our letters and sound presentation. We're hoping that this is going to help you to understand the process that we use at Hereward to teach your children their phonics. This afternoon doing the presentation, there's myself, Caroline Hilton, I'm the Deputy Head. I've got Demi Longman and Lauren Jarvis, who are both our English coordinators. So let's make a start.
Okay, so synesthetic phonics. So this is how sounds are represented by letters. So for example, the letter B makes the B sound. It's also how to decode letters to say sounds. Again, what I've just said, knowing that the letter B makes the B sound and knowing every other letter in the alphabet makes its own sound. And it's also how to blend sounds to read words. So for example, in the word bat, the children would have to blend the sounds B, at to make the word bat. Children are systematically taught letter sound correspondences. So again, repeating myself, but knowing that the B is the letter name and it makes the B sound. They are taught how to read words by blending sounds together. Again, for the word tap, app makes the word tap. They learn to spell by identifying sounds in words, so segmenting spoken words. So this is where they would think of the word first. So referring back to the word tap, instead of spelling out tap, they would think of the word first. So they'd think tap and then think of the three sounds that make that word. So they're breaking it down. And finally, they're taught how to form letters, following our Colin's handwriting scheme. From reception onwards, the children will be taught how to correctly form all letters.
Okay, so I'm going to explain some of the terms that are used during the teaching of phonics. And these are terms that children will learn themselves and will understand and know what they mean. So a phoneme is a speech sound that you can hear. So for example, the phonemes in cat are cat. Whereas a grapheme is a sound of a spelling choice in the word that you can see. For example, if we look at the example there, rain, you can see that the A sound is spelt AI. Now there are many different graphemes for phonemes. So for example, the A sound can be written AY, EI, or the AI. As children begin their phonics, they'll begin with phase 1, which is in nursery. So this is when they'll learn to have fun with sounds, to listen carefully, to develop their vocabulary, to speak confidently to you, other adults and children, to tune into sounds, to listen and remember sounds, to talk about sounds, and to understand that spoken words are made up of different sounds. All work at this stage is through play, discussion, and the modelling from adults.
As much fun as they can possibly get, basically. It's a really, really fun phase.
As children progress into reception, they'll begin with phase 2 phonics. This is where children begin to formally learn the sounds in the English language. Lessons do become a little more focused at this stage as they become older, but it is still mainly daily lessons and activities which incorporate phonics through play as well. So lots of games.
Okay, so moving on to sound talk. The separate sounds, phonemes, as your children will know them as, are spoken aloud in order all through the word and then are merged together into the whole word. So if we look at the example at the bottom, the word sit, they will know to read the sounds in it in that order and blend them together to make the word sit. So the next part says this merging is called blending. So this is another word that your child will become familiar with. They will learn to blend the words, and it is a vital skill for reading. As you can see on the picture at the bottom, there are buttons underneath the sound, so we call these sound buttons. And what the children are encouraged to do in reception is to press the button and read the sound above it. So that helps us to read the word. And what the children will do is they will press the buttons quicker and quicker until they can hear the word all together. So say it faster to hear the word sit. Then moving on to the next slide, still with sound talk, children will also learn to do this the other way around. So they will learn to think about the word and then hear the separate sounds in it. So this whole word is spoken aloud and broken up into different sounds. And this is called segmenting. So this is a skill for spelling. So whereas we said before that was for reading, this is a vital skill for spelling because the children are learning to hear the word and break it down into different parts. So then next we've got learning the phonemes. So children will learn the phonemes, the sounds for a number of letters, the graphemes. And they will also learn that some phonemes are made up of more than one letter. So we've got the example here, chop, ch, op. Although it has 4 letters in it, we learn that the ch is made up of what we call a digraph, 2 letters that make one sound. So as on the example, you can see there are 3 buttons rather than 4, because we encourage the children to read the ch sound as one sound.
Okay, so your child will be taught how to pronounce the sounds, those phonemes, correctly to make that blending easier. Sounds should be pronounced in a short, blunt way. So for example, the B should be B, the C, K, T, T. If they're not pronounced in that short, blunt way, then children can begin to hear different sounds. So for example, if you said B, K, they're hearing that sound instead of just one sound. So they're hearing 2 different sounds. This can then start to affect their spelling as well. Okay, they can start to put the UH sound, incorporate that into their spelling, which we try to avoid.
Okay, yeah, making words. So now at this point, children will be seeing letters and words as well as hearing them, and they'll be able to blend and segment both VC words and CVC words. So VC words are vowel consonant words such as at, and CVC words, for example, bat or bell. As you can see that in bell, it's made up of 4 letters, but it's making 3 sounds as the L, 2 L's together, making the OO digraph.
Okay, so tricky words. So throughout the year, your child will also learn several tricky words, and these are words that cannot be sounded out using their phonics. So for example, the, to, I, go, and no are all examples of tricky words. The class teacher will send tricky words to you throughout the year to support that learning at home. From year 1 onwards, tricky words are actually in the middle of their reading records, alongside many, many other sounds, and phonemes, and graphemes that are also taught. Reception are just about to embark on their learning journey, and they will also have the sounds in the middle of their records, but they will not have tricky words at this point. If there's one thing that you can do at home, please listen to your children read every night if you can. It just supports learning of phonics and helps them to break down and segment those words and blend them together. In phase 3, so in reception, by this point the main individual letter phonemes have been learned, and children are beginning to read the constant vowel consonant words independently, such as cat, sit, tap, mat. In phase 3, children will begin to learn the graphemes, so those written sounds are made up of more than one letter. So for example, they'll learn that the grapheme OA can be written as OA, so that O sound, as in boat. Your child will also learn all the letter names in the alphabet and how to form them correctly.
Okay, so in reception and in year 1, children are taught phase 4. And this is where children practice reading and writing words with adjacent consonants. So 2 consonants standing next to each other standing next to each other. So if we look at the word, for example, help, we've got F, U. The LP, we then encourage the children to read those 2 as one sound rather than breaking it down into 4 different sounds. Children also practice reading and writing longer words using segmenting and blending skills. So we have the examples of sandwich and thunderstorm underneath. The children will begin to learn to break down words like thunder and storm and then bring them together. So although it might seem a little bit kind of out there, the children will learn how to read those words during reception and year 1 too. And still sticking with phase 4, children are able to write words and sentences, so they'll be introduced to writing short sentences like a rocket went up to the moon, and they will also learn more tricky words, for example, said, come, where and what, to include in those sentences.
Okay, so in phase 5, this is into year 1, children will begin to broaden their knowledge of graphemes, the spelling choices and the phonemes, the sounds, the use in reading and spelling. They will learn new graphemes, those spelling choices, and alternative pronunciation for those as well. Children will become quicker at recognising graphemes of more than one letter in words and at blending the phonemes they represent. Continuing into phase 5, so when spelling words, they will learn to choose the appropriate graphemes to represent phonemes. At this point, children are learning to select the appropriate graphemes. They may make some spelling errors, which is all part of the learning process. So, for example, if they hear the word train, they may hear the A sound and use the AY grapheme of the A phoneme. Eventually, they will learn to use the appropriate grapheme, which would be the AI, which will happen throughout the year. They will become more confident spellers as the year goes on. And they will practice reading 2-syllable and 3-syllable words.
Okay, so at the end of all that, within the summer term, we are expected to administer a phonics test to the Year 1 children. So this is a government formulated test, which is held in June. It's done in Year 1 only, although we'll touch on that in a moment. It's a reading test, so children are tested on their ability to blend words as well as pseudo words, which are nonsense words. Your children might come home and you might hear the term alien word, and that's because of a lot of the software that we use. A lot of the pseudo words are put onto an alien, so some teachers call them alien words so that they know that it's a word that doesn't make sense. Children are expected to read 40 words, and out of those 40 words, they're expected to achieve 32 or more out of 40 to attain working at the correct standard within phonics. So the test is administered by myself. It's a very, very calm and relaxed test. We want to get the very, very best out of our children, and we understand that in order to do that, they need to be there at their very best. So they always have, it sounds really bizarre, but they always have a really lovely time doing it with it. They get covered in stickers, and they get a little certificate at the end to show that they've done really well. It's a really, really nice, time. So like I was saying a moment ago, at the end of the test, children are assessed according to 2 government standards, that either working at the expected level for phonics or working towards the expected level for phonics. And you will get those results in their report at the end of the school year. So children who haven't attained the expected pass in Year 1 will be provided with catch-up phonics sessions in Year 2. So at the moment, we have a number of catch-up programs going on, but that's obviously very important for us in order that they can then feel confident within their phonics, within their English lessons and their other lessons in school. So if a child has not passed in Year 1, the government expects them to resit the test in Year 2, and that's where the catch-up phonics programme will come in. So this year obviously has been a little bit of an upside-down year, and cancellation of the phonics screening check in 2020 meant that incoming Year 2 pupils haven't taken the test in Year 1. Obviously this is something that we want to try to make sure that their phonics are as good as we can. We're going to be testing the children. They will be taking a test in the second half of the autumn term. Again, that will mean that we can assess where they are. We know weaknesses and we know strengths, and currently that's what we're working on. So Year 2 pupils who meet the expected standards in phonics will not have to take any more tests in phonics, and results will be posted to you. So within phase 6, so this is Year 2 now, we start to consolidate everything that we've done, that they've done previously in reception and Year 1. But in Year 2, we further that by looking at things such as spelling rules, more unusual correspondences, prefixes and suffixes. We also look at things such as past tense, so different rules that apply to verbs to change them into past tenses. Syllables for spelling, so how many claps a word can be broken into, which again helps greatly with spelling. And compound words, 2 words that are joined together to form one. For example, there that we've given is sunshine. Okay, that's the end of our presentation. I would just like to say, we would like to say a huge thank you for you all for your interest in this afternoon. If you have any questions, then please either speak to your child's class teacher. You can also email myself. You can email admin. I'll get the emails. And I'm more than happy to go through anything with you that you weren't clear on this afternoon. But just wanted to say another again, huge thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much.